Hello YouTube, here for a bit of a rant today. This is going to be a video response to Gerard, Wolfgang 1, who recently poured out his woes after braving the entire Energon series from beginning to end. For those who don't know, Transformers Energon is the middle part of what is generally known as the Unicron trilogy, a very loose-knit series of cartoons and associated toy lines that have to be seen to be believed. It's very rare that you get a piece of media, regardless of what the subject matter is, where everything is wrong, where nothing works. Even the shittest movie you can think of usually has something, some little glimmer that engages, even if it's for a millisecond. It can be like a performance, an effect. One shot can work, and the rest of the product can be shit. Energon is really strange in that it's a marvel, really, in its own particular way. It's absolutely miraculous in that within the space of 50 plus episodes, nothing works. Nothing. Not a damn thing. You know what? I need the rant hat for this. Hang on. Where's the rant hat? I know it's here. I know it's here somewhere. Right. Let's do this properly if we're going to do it at all. This is my rant hat, by the way. It comes out whenever something or someone or a particular aspect of existence vexes me to the nth degree. It's certainly appropriate for Energon. Nothing fucking works. From conception to execution, nothing. I would give you a rundown of the plot, but there isn't one. Every episode consists of the same things, which is characters standing around talking about what they should be doing, then not doing it. Then there are the occasional, very poorly orchestrated, piss-poor animated battle scenes. Really terrible dialogue. Some of the worst animation I have ever seen. The animation is really strange in Energon. It's this woefully misconceived mixture of CG animation and cell animation, but it's bad CG and it's bad cell animation, and they're put together badly, the net result being a whole heaping dollop of bad that comes at you from the screen like vomit. It is appalling. It's not pleasing to look at. I mean, that would have been something. The aesthetics would have been something. Even if the script was shit, it could have been pretty to look at, but it's not. It hurts, and the worst thing, the worst aspect of the animation is the character models. The character models are this weird sort of CG cell animation that's supposed to look marginally three-dimensional, but they can't move properly. The worst thing is seeing them run. When the characters run, they look like they've shat themselves, or they look like they're about to stumble over their own feet. It's dreadful. Now, as for the scripts, half-arsed doesn't even cover it. Half-arsed doesn't even cover it. I mean, I know that I bitch about the Generation 1 cartoon, and I think that it's warranted. Nostalgia and sentiment aside, the Generation 1 cartoon is just one big toy catalogue. It's not even a particularly well animated, written or directed toy catalogue, but at the very least, even the shittest episode of Generation 1, even Carnage in C minor, has something approaching a plot. Not so Energon. You have to actually go to the best episodes in the series to find something that even approaches a plot, that is not just filler, where you've got the toys standing around talking to one another. Now, the dialogue is terrible. The voice acting in this show is bad in the way of anime films and series dubbed in the 1980s. You know, before anime was a phenomenon, when we were just getting the early dregs of anime before the floodgates opened, and what we had were basically very small companies distributing anime in the West, butchering them in terms of editing and just getting the office temps to do the dubs. That's what it's like. The acting is appalling, and they do that weird thing that badly dubbed Japanese shows always do, where everything is slightly hyper-American. It's really weird. It's not even like real American accents that they give the characters. They are these hyper-exaggerated stereotypes where even the most marginal, the most inconsequential of expressions is exaggerated and weird. It hurts. The fucking show hurts to watch. And then you've got... They bothered to get Gary Chalk and David Kay to play Optimus Prime and Megatron respectively. These are the voice talents from Beast Wars who injected those characters with such flavour and verve. And I think they would be the first to admit, to be perfectly honest, that phoned in doesn't even cut it. It's obvious that they're sitting there thinking, this is probably the shittest script I've ever worked on. I'm not even going to put any effort into this. I'll say my lines, I'll go home, I'll cash my check. That is basically it. The whole thing is bad. I struggle to think of a single scene. I'm not being hyperbolic here. A single scene within the entire expanse of the fucking show that works, that has something that's engaging in it. Not a thing. It's appalling. It's doubly appalling. I mean, this is what turned me off from Armada. It's doubly appalling when you think that before this show we had the likes of Beast Wars and Beast Machines, which to my mind still stand as the very finest media that the Transformers franchise has been attached to. The very finest. Oh God, it's something that vexes me to such a degree that I find it difficult to express without just ranting, raving, shouting, spitting, clawing at things, eating the furniture, vomiting copious amounts of blood, and ripping out my own eyes. It's a painful thing to watch. It's painful in the way of the Japanese, the Japanese shows that followed the original Transformers series, things like Headmasters and whatnot. It's painful in the way of watching them with the English dubs. That's how painful it gets. But you know what vexes me most of all about fucking Energon? What vexes me most of all is the fact that the Toyline, unlike Armada, which by and large I don't like, it has its moments, but that was the period when I started to drift away from Transformers for a little while, and as a result I missed out on some really fantastic toys. But Armada had its moments. It had things like Megatron and Tidal Wave and Scrapper, who people hate but I love. I don't understand why people don't like him. Energon really upped its game. There are some examples of shit, but there are some fucking beautiful pieces in the Energon line, and this is one of them. This is actually, this isn't Energon, this is Super Lynx Scorponok, and Super Lynx was what Energon was called in Japan. It's exactly the same, it's just that it's got Japanese language in it. That's about it. There is no difference. But with such fantastic toys, it would have been nice to have a cartoon that at the very least did them justice. It didn't. There is nothing in this show. Nothing. There's hardly any continuity from Armada to Energon, barring the fact that some of the same characters turn up, sometimes with different names and different personalities. It's fucking awful. And if you like Gerard, if you manage to sit through the entire thing, and have managed to retain any semblance of sanity, then well fucking done, I can tell you. Jesus, they say that smoking is bad for your health. A single viewing of Armada from beginning to end, I'm sure, would probably completely destroy your neocortex. It would leave you with all of the inspiration and cognitive faculties of your average potato. It stands, thus far, it stands as the worst Transformers cartoon to date, and I'm even including Beast Wars 2 and Beast Wars Neo in that. I know they're fucking silly, but at the very least they have some sense of how silly they are. At least they go for laughs. Energon doesn't. Energon goes, it plays itself straight. It actually takes itself seriously. And that is a crime I can't forgive. I don't mind things being B-movie-ish and silly as long as they acknowledge the fact. It's like, the best example, the most recent example I can think of is Drag Me to Hell by Sam Raimi. I fucking loved that movie. It was completely B-movie-ish, silly to the nth degree, over the top, gratuitously gory, absurd in places, but so much fun, because it was aware of what it was trying to do. It was very self-aware. Energon takes itself deathly seriously throughout. It has no sense of its own absurdity, and as a result just comes off as fucking shit. So that was my my rant concerning Transformers Energon. A total waste of celluloid cell animation. Every single resource that was funneled into that piece of shit was wasted, ultimately. Utterly wasted. Now, while I'm here, what I thought I'd do is take the opportunity to do a response concerning Loves and Hates, which I believe was launched by, was it by Team Decepticon or was it 5 Awesome Transformers guys? I can't quite remember at the moment, I do apologise. But they launched a video a good old while back, asking for people to detail their loves and hates with regards to collecting Transformers. Now obviously, since I'm on a roll in that regard, I thought I'd do my hates first. And one of my biggest pet peeves, in fact the one that's kind of core to the hobby, what I really fucking hate more than anything, are Transformers that aren't fun to transform. Transformers whose transformations are massively overcomplicated and finicky, that are non-intuitive and that hurt. The best examples I can think of for that are Universe Galvatron, which is a toy I have some appreciation for. Aesthetically it's very beautiful, but it is ruined by its transformation, which is dreadful. And Revenge of the Fallen Mixmaster. Almost all of the Revenge of the Fallen line and the previous movie line are guilty of this. It's one of the principal reasons why I don't like the movie lines very much at all. It defeats the object of Transformers for me. For me, the mark of a good Transformer is one that is complicated but intuitive and elegant, so that you don't need the instructions to do it, and so bits don't pop off, and so you don't cut your finger whilst you're doing it. The Beast Wars Transformers, particularly the latter day ones, are the very finest examples of this. They have that wonderful mixture of elegance, complexity and an intuitive quality that just makes a good Transformer. It makes them feel good in the hand when you're transforming them. Transmetal 2 Megatron, Tigerhawk, Tripredacus has it, Rampage has it. There are lots of examples from Beast Wars that have that quality, and some of the more modern Transformers have it as well. Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon and Mindwipe have it. Reveal the Shield Scourge has it. Lugnut has it. A lot of the animated toys have it. That is the mark of a good Transformer for me, but I fucking despise it in particularly those Transformers whose various modes don't even warrant it. When you've got like in the Revenge of the Fallen line, you've got fucking car formers. I mean, come on, car formers, really? Car formers are almost universally dull. They're almost universally dull. There aren't that many that are interesting, because there's only so much you can do with a car form in terms of transformation. Lockdown, Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown and Generations Drift are examples of how car formers can be interesting and can be intuitive and can be fun and can be clever. Then you got like Revenge of the Fallen Mudflap and Skids, or Sideways, or Sideswipe. They're shit. The Their modes, the bot and the car modes, do not warrant the hideously over-complex transformations. I don't have the patience to sit there and spend like 20 minutes trying to figure out where that little flap goes, or where that little bit is supposed to turn, or where that bit that's popped off is supposed to fucking go. So yeah, number one hate for me is Transformers whose transformations are not fun. Number two isn't really an issue with Transformers as such. It's more an issue that tends to crop up within fandoms like ours. There is a tendency for fandoms of any particular description. I mean, Star Trek is a really good example, as is The Lord of the Rings. There is a tendency for certain portions of those fandoms to become tribalistic, almost religious about what draws them to the hobby or to their particular part of the hobby. And I find that terribly off-putting. A really good example are those people who don't just proclaim that they prefer, say, G1 over Beast Wars and whatnot. They're the ones who proclaim and actually write essays and long-winded rants and all this bullshit about how G1 is objectively and fundamentally superior, and they will basically browbeat those fans who prefer the movie line, or who prefer Beast Wars, or who prefer Generations or whatever. I find that really off-putting. When it stops being a hobby and becomes a lifestyle choice or an ideology, that's when I back away. That's when I really draw back from it, because I've no interest in engaging with that sort of tribalism in any aspect of my existence. I have absolutely no time for that nonsense. When you find yourself performing mental gymnastics over something as completely incidental and frivolous as these things, then you need to get out more. You need to broaden your horizons just a little bit. Get another hobby, something that's a counterpoint to these things. I mean, I get an enormous amount of joy from Transformers. I really do. I find them so much fun and so engaging. They're just incredible aesthetic pieces. They're loads of fun to play with. I like the characters. I like the media attached to them in general. But I know where it stops. I really do. And, there are other things that I like to talk about occasionally. So yeah, number two is definitely going to have to be fanboy religiosity, I suppose you could call it. Number three, I suppose, is related to number one. It's not quite the same, but it's certainly sort of an adjunct to number one, and that is lazy fuck-off transformations. Lazy transformations. And lazy transformations, funnily enough, are not the same things as simple transformations. Oh no, you can have simple transformations in Transformers that are really elegant and interesting, and even though it only requires, like, sometimes just standing the bot up and flipping bits out, it works for that particular bot. It almost works as like a morph feature. One of the finest examples I can think of a really good simple transformation is Animated Waspinator. Animated Waspinator, you don't really do much with him. You put the wasp face... Pardon me. Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. You take the wasp's head, just put it down on his chest, and basically stand him up and flip the abdomen up, and you've got the bot mode. It's very simple, monstrously simple, but not lazy. It works. It's elegant and quite fun to do. It is not a lazy transformation. Lazy transformations are the kind that you get with the G1 Pretenders, where no thought, no conception has actually gone into the design of the bot or the design of the alt mode. It's just an excuse. It is basically a case of, oh well, the franchise is so popular, the brats will buy anything. Let's just throw any old shit at them. It's that sort of thing. I really hate that. Armada is another good example. Generally, the Armada Transformers have really fuck-off lazy transformations. And the modes that they produce aren't worth it. They aren't worth the effort. Revenge of the Fallen Mixmaster, again, I'm sorry to focus on this particular subject, but it epitomizes so much about what I dislike concerning Transformers. Revenge of the Fallen Mixmaster, it's woefully overcomplicated. It takes ages to actually sit there and transform the damn thing from one mode to another. It's not worth it, because once you've done with all of this complexity, the modes aren't even that good. The robot mode in particular isn't that compact. It's still got a big fuck-off truck cab hanging off of its arse. So why would you, as a Transformers fan, sit there and bother with the damn thing? Yeah, number 3, lazy transformations. I think that's gonna be it for now. With regards to my hates, I'm gonna move on to the things I really love, and in many ways they are just the opposites of what I hate. Number one things that I love, intuitive transformations. Well wrought, witty, clever, interesting transformations. I tell you, the Reveal the Shield line and the Generations line, and even a lot of the stuff in the latter day Revenge of the Fallen line, like Bludgeon and Mind Wipe, the transformations are ingenious. Absolutely ingenious. They're the kinds of things where I've never seen them in anything before as a Transformers fan. Reveal the Shield Scourge, his arm transformation, is unique. I've never seen anything like it, and that makes it interesting to me. Most of the Beast Wars toys have transformations like this that are completely removed from what we were used to in G1, which, to be fair, most G1 Transformers, what do you do with them? You pull the arms out, pull the legs down, extend little bits, head pops out. That's largely it for G1. There aren't many that deviate from that basic pattern, unfortunately. But the Beast Wars heralded this entire new principle with regards to Transformers, where there were ball joints, there were things that not just folded out, but which became other parts, which effloresced and split in half, and all manner of weird and wonderful and interesting things. I love that. I really like to see that. It's difficult to do these days because there are so many Transformers out there, and it's even more difficult to do well. It's a very tricky thing to do well, and for those who can manage it, who can conceive of this stuff, well, just bravo, well fucking done. What else do I love? Beast Formers. In general, I mean, there are specific kinds of Beast Formers I like more than others. Dragon Formers are probably some of my favourite bots in existence. There aren't many Dragon Formers, but oh god, when they do them well, they are some of the most stunning Transformers in existence. I love Dragon Formers. I particularly favour Cryotech, Beast Wars 2 Galvatron, RID, Megatron. Amazing toys. But Beast Formers in general, there is something about robots that turn into animals that a lot of people find it absurd, because it does sort of do away with the whole robots in disguise thing, really. But I love it. I absolutely love bots that turn into beasts, and I particularly like the Beast Wars toys. Once again, I love the aesthetic of them, how far removed they are from all other Transformers lines. You can identify a Beast Wars Transformer just by looking at it, because they're so different, they're so odd compared to all other Transformers. They tend to be fluid and contoured and have bits that stick out, and they make a virtue of their kibble. That's another thing I like, actually. Transformers that make a virtue of their kibble, and the best examples of that I can think of are the Spider Formers in Beast Wars. Tarantulas, Black Arachnia, those characters, they make a virtue of all of their kibble. You've got spider legs and bits of carapace all over the place, but it works. Rampage, Beast Wars Rampage, king of kibble, crustacean king of kibble, but looks so good on it. Without the kibble, these bots would be a bit bland. The designers have very cleverly made what would otherwise be indication of lazy transformation part of the aesthetic, and that's a peculiar genius all of its own. So yeah, beast formers. In fact, all of my very favourite transformers are beast formers. Things like Magmatron, Transmetal 2 Black Arachnia, G1 Scorponok even. My recently acquired Double Punch. Oh yes, that mould has really done it for me, and I'm going to get every single permutation of it out there. What else do I like? I love, and this is going to be slightly controversial as well, I'm sure, I really love repaints and remolds that are appropriate to the characters. It is a double-edged sword, because by the same token I really despise repaints and remolds that are not appropriate. Really good example of a repaint that is not appropriate are the 2 fucking repaints that Hasbro have done to represent the character Strafe. There was a repaint of Generations Cyclonus. Generations Cyclonus is so iconically that character that without a head change and significant reconstruction, it can't represent anyone else. It doesn't work. And as for Strafe, of all the fucking characters they could have repainted him as, Strafe, no, it doesn't work. Same is true of the Revenge of the Fallen Mindwipe repaint. That mould is all angles and spikes and spines. It's so iconically Decepticon. It doesn't work as an Autobot, and it definitely doesn't work as an Autobot if you repaint it to look like a fucking ice cream truck. Yes, as for repaints and remolds that do work and work well, there aren't many, but when they work, they work. Transmetal 2 Black Arachnia as RC. Yeah, works wonderfully. Rampage as Shocker Act. Yes, yes, yes. All of the repaints of the Beast Wars Scorponok mold, Sandstorm and Double Punch. Beautiful. Generations Straxus repainted as Skullgrin with the remoulded head. Yes, it works. It's fantastic. But when they don't work, when they're just lazy fuck off excuses to market new toys, nah, not interested. But you know what I like about Transformers more than anything? What I find almost as fascinating as the hobby itself? I find the manner in which it engages people. I find the phenomena of the fandom the most interesting thing about Transformers in general. The fact that this toy franchise from the 1980s has engaged people to such a degree that it has become this multi-million-dollar industry in the 2000s is fantastic. I love the fact that people engaged with these characters so deeply, and that they're so impassioned and enthused about them. And I love the fact that people use it as their medium of expression, that it becomes something which excites the imagination and staves off the rot of banality, which, to my mind, is always to be appreciated.